1. This might start out as a situational story, but just stick with me for a moment, I promise. I gravitated towards this industry because I had an inverted form of shyness. One-on-one conversations would be difficult for me to navigate, but giving a speech never intimidated me. I bring this up because I want to establish that in my younger years I was rarely confrontational. I tried to just get by as likable if I could. But one thing that always rubbed me the wrong way was someone who tried to rule by because I said so. I at least wanted context to my draconian systems if I was supposed to play along. It's in that vein that one day one of our grumpier managers, Cheryl, called me into the office to talk about my attitude. This was the first and only pulled-aside moment of my entire tenure there, and I've since become senior staff. I don't remember what it was I said or how I said it, but I stepped over a line questioning something she'd set in stone, I'm sure. I steeled myself for the lecture, and I swear I was doing my best to be in the moment about it, because of how much I remember what happened next. One of the veteran servers walks past the office. Cheryl stops her lecture mid-sentence and says, in what I remember, a fairly innocent tone, "Tim, what did you—" whatever detail about the party incoming that night. His eyes lit up indignant as he yelled, "What the fuck do you want me to do about it, Cheryl?" He ripped into her about how the management around here was screwing up, and how he had to rescue the situation before eventually storming off. I swear to you, here and now my life changed when Cheryl endured that tirade, scoffed and apologized to Tim, and then turned around to continue lecturing me about my attitude. I came out the other side of that a different person. It was that day I learned that while you should never cruise around trying to be an asshole, you absolutely should at least have that car idling. Be 10% an asshole. I promise you, your life will change for the better. Not everyone is worth your time. Some words just aren't worth mincing. As long as you have a baseline of that attitude that people can read, the very first time you bother to defend yourself won't come across like a sucker punch. This isn't advice I'd give to just anyone, but just anyone doesn't have access to audiences a day to try, bomb, move on, and try again to own it. Happy belated New Year's, everyone. 2. I need to rant about this. Yesterday I got a car. Finally. Since I go to college about 30 minutes away, I couldn't work consistently, so they couldn't make me a server. But now I have a car. I can come back more consistently, and I can be a server. Except conveniently we are overstaffed on servers at the moment, so I'm stuck being a busboy. I hate being a busboy. I hate literally everything about it. Out of every restaurant job I've worked, it is by far the absolute worst one. People make huge messes without considering that someone has to clean it up. Nobody gives a shit about you. One time, a lady and her kid came into the restaurant, and that kid decided to be a little shit that day. He took the salt shaker, unscrewed the lid, and poured all the salt all over the table. And you know what the mom did? She took a sip of her wine and moved on. I'm angrier at the mom than the kid. Teach your kids not to make huge messes. I'm also expected to keep tables clean at a busy restaurant and also help everyone else do their job. I have the most closing work, which often results in me being the last person to go home outside of the manager. That could change if there was more than one busboy at a time, and Jesus Christ, it's disgusting. People are disgusting. One morning, a lady came in with a party. She looked pretty uncomfortable with herself throughout. Eventually, she got up, started walking to the bathroom urgently, then stopped. She pissed and shit herself, so she went to the bathroom and washed her pants off, leaving remnants in the sink and a trail of it leading to the bathroom. She had to have been in her 30s. There is no excuse to do that when there's a bathroom handy at 30 years old. But all of that could be forgiven if it weren't so lonely. That's the worst part. I'm an extrovert. I got the job here when I was 18 and was not allowed to be a server yet. So I figured that being a host was the next best option. I love interacting with people, good or bad. It makes me happy. And they let me have that job for a while, until they stopped giving me host shifts and straight up made me a busboy. Now the only interactions I get are either 4 different servers asking me to bus their tables as fast as possible, or a server telling me about a customer who's complaining over a grain of salt that I missed on their table. Even though I am a foot away from their table, cleaning another one, it's either they're afraid to say something to me, or they're too good to talk to the busboy. If it's the first one, I promise I'm friendly. Don't be afraid to tell me your table is dirty, and I won't even address the second one. Because that's just how it is when you work at a restaurant. In the more rich part of town, nearly everyone is an arrogant prick. But I at least want to have a job where I can look them in the eye and talk to them, instead of not even being considered before they leave the table. Just to set the record straight, I don't blame the wait staff or any staff member for all of this, not even the managers. They do everything in their power to help me out, but most of the time, they can't help me. We also have an overabundance of servers and a lack of busboys. So I will take a busboy job over no job at all. And for those of you who say I should quit, the only thing stopping me from doing that is I really like my coworkers, again, even the managers. The servers are incredibly sympathetic to my position, which is something not a lot of busboys can say. On really busy nights, they give me a small portion of their tip out, which I do not ever expect them to do. And the managers aren't so bad either. If I need time off, they give it to me, no questions asked. If they need a busser on my night off and no one is available, they give me a much higher tip out and an extra day off next week. So the place and people I work are awesome. I just hate bussing tables. 3. Had a fun situation prior to COVID ridiculousness. This is one of the few tales that sticks in my brain to this day because it was just wild. And is one of the few stories I tell at parties. I can't imagine dealing with this kind of entitlement, so I bow my head in respect to the USA hospital crowd. 2 big lads from the USA came into the specialized spirit bar I worked, which offers a casual fine dining experience. I'm just 5'2" and muscular. These lads were built, stocky, and a fair bit taller than me. Things seemed fine until they started ordering. Aim of the game is to build rapport while pouring water and explaining the menu options specials. Get an idea of what kind of persona and energy I need to provide for that personal service touch, yada yada. I did also politely explain before letting them commit to the experience that there are places that would probably be more in line with what they were after. But they said they wanted to experience something new, and I was like, okay, cool. Gonna do my best as usual, but fuck me dead. The complaining during and after really had me holding how I really felt behind a crazy-ass Cheshire grin. They made it clear they wanted a wizard in the shape of a doormat for their experience, and boy oh boy, I was not the contortionist they so desired. Getting drinks.
How can you have only 3 bourbons? What kind of bar doesn't have whatever they asked for? And I don't know any of these beers on tap. Do you have any normal beer like Coors?
I'm smiling and using my hospital voice as I politely explain that we don't have a huge whiskey selection because this bar specializes in gin. Our sister bar a few streets over does, so I recommend they visit there, or other venues in the area that I knew had larger American whiskey offerings after dinner. They did not find this to be a vibe, and that the beers we offer were all known in Australia. Most were popular craft beer, but that's very normal here. They apparently did not like gin. They also didn't like my recommended classic whiskey cocktails. A good 15 to 20 minutes trying to find something that they would like. They settled for a house lager. They claimed it was horrible, and I've had Coors. I'm still wondering if they know what a good beer tastes like, and settled for an old-fashioned afterwards. God help the poor bastard who had to explain that their beloved bourbon in Australia has a lower ABV in their travels. Mid-dinner fun.
There are more coming?
This is the first course, so it's not a large portion, so that people have space for mains and later desserts. They did not like that, but I got them extra bread because I could.
What do you mean you don't have ketchup or ranch?
We don't have those. We aren't that type of establishment. I can get you more aioli, or more of the sauce that steak comes with. That was also apparently not good enough. They did not take me up on my offer. After dinner delight while looking at the bill.
I could get a steak the size of the plate for less back home. This 3-course meal was enough for one of us, not 2 people. What a rip-off.
I very politely explained that the 3-course menu that the majority of our guests don't even finish, people say is too much food or have larger breaks in between, barely finishing their desserts. Our portions are no bigger or smaller than the average venue, and the set menus do in fact offer more food. I'm sorry you feel this wasn't up to your standards. They became argumentative and attempted to be intimidating, and I don't really react. I just get a weird grin, expressionless eyes. My colleagues' words, not mine, and a voice so damn sweet it makes you sick.
McDonald's has bigger serves for less, and the food here is nice, but it's not worth the amount you charge. It's tiny.
Motherfucking lie, I thought, fuck this, as I was taking their payment, smiling as I did, responding with, if you want cheap and large, Macca's is down the road, and you have buffet-style joints across town. McDonald's also adheres to portions, so we don't have extra large meals. Anywhere you go, you'll have to pay more to get more than the average portion. Every buffet-style joints have limits.
Your customer service is really lacking. I won't be tipping. Australians don't know how to give good service.
I just nodded, smile in place. I'm sorry you feel that way. We don't have a tipping culture here, so you don't have to worry about tipping at all. Have a wonderful evening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in Australia. What I wish I could have said.
You can't threaten me with withholding tips. You can't shame us for not having portions that are grossly large. You're just upset that despite me walking you through everything and recommending a better suited venue to your tastes, you chose to make yourself upset and try to make me feel like I wasn't doing enough. And we don't boogaloo like that over here.
4. I'm a 24-year-old female and worked at an Italian restaurant for 2 years now, and I transferred to a new location in a different state for personal reasons. I've been here for 4 months. This new location is great, better hours and flexibility, better wages for servers, and less work drama with other people. However, there is this one server, Trudy, who has been nothing but rude to me since I got here. Even when I first introduced myself, all she did was glare at me and refuse to speak when I asked a question. At first, I thought that maybe it was just a bad day for her, so I let it go. Even others were saying, "Oh, Trudy's just having a bad day, don't mind her." I didn't see her after that for quite a while. Apparently, she constantly gets her shifts covered or calls out unless it's a big money day, like holidays. But when I did see her again, I tried saying hi, and was ignored. Then, later that day, I was bringing out some more bread for everyone, and by the rules of I made it so I get my share first, so by the time I got mine, the rest of the bread was gone. Trudy comes up as I walk away from the now empty warmer and scolds me for taking the last of the bread. Similar things would start to happen whenever she would work, where she would constantly make snide remarks about me. Not to mention the glares and ignoring me whenever I tried to talk to her. Then, just last night, Trudy was working a double, and I came in to close. I was told my section and went about my night. Turns out this was Trudy's section. From that morning, she worked a double and was supposed to be moved into a different section. Now, my first table was set, and we went up to greet them. They told me, "Oh, somebody's already got our drink order." Which made me confused because none of my room partners took it. Then I see Trudy dropping off drinks to them, so I approach her. I simply explained that this was now my section and that was my table. Trudy immediately beelines it to our GM and complains. Granted, there was a lack of communication in terms of her being swapped sections, but regardless. So the GM tells me to take the table. I greet them again and get their order. Then they mention that one of them ordered a beer, so I go to grab it, but Trudy stops me. "Why are you grabbing that?" I'm taking this to my table. That was my table. I thought the GM said you were moving sections for the night. Well, if you listened the first time, then you'd know I talked to him about it. So you're staying in that section? She walks off. That was the longest conversation I've had with her at this point. But regardless, I have no idea where all this is coming from. Did I offend her or something? If I did, I have no idea, and she won't talk to me long enough to address it. Is she just a bitch? Maybe. Everyone else says she's super nice, so to be honest, I'm not sure what to do. I've brought it up with management, but they haven't really done anything. 5. Recently, there was an Ask Reddit about interview red flags, which instantly made me think of restaurants that ask you to work a trial shift, and got me curious to hear y'all's opinions on them. For anyone unaware, it's very common in New York City. I've had 2 restaurants try this in Florida though as well, so I'm sure it happens everywhere. For a restaurant, after the initial interview, to ask you to come back for a tryout, or trial shift as part of the interview process, where they schedule you a shift. You come in and work for a few hours or a full shift, and they evaluate if you're a good fit. This ordeal is unpaid. Every time a restaurant has attempted to get me to do one, I immediately ghost that restaurant. My logic being that if they're already acting sketchy and cheap from the get-go, this will probably be a terrible place to work that thinks wage laws are more like wage suggestions, and it'll be a huge headache. I did get tricked into one while I was in NYC because I didn't know it was a trial shift apparently. It was for a bartending job, and at the end of the interview they said, "Yeah, sounds good, we'll try it out and see how it goes. Can you come in tomorrow?" I assumed this meant I was hired. I came in. It was a pretty standard training shift, learning all the specialty cocktails, showing me where everything is, etc. I was nervous as I'm my first day at a new job, but aside from the nervousness, it went pretty normal. Tried making the cocktails and did fine. Try to stay useful and clean, wash glassware, etc. In the downtime, normal stuff, made good banter with some of the guests and had them laughing. The only thing is they said I could leave around, I think it was midnight. But when the time came, the manager asked if I wanted to stick around and learn to close. Mind you, this is NYC, so closing time is like 4 a.m. I politely declined, since I hadn't planned on staying that late, since they told me it would only be for a couple of hours. And I had an early morning appointment. She said, okay, it's cool. She'll text me my schedule. Never heard back again, and she wouldn't respond to my texts, and I was never paid. Obviously, I've continued to reject every trial request since. For the life of me, I don't understand how these are so rampant when they seem illegal as fuck. A brief 15 to 45 minute skill test, to make sure you're not full of it, on your resume I have zero problem with. Seems reasonable. I've had places have me come in just to do a walkthrough, talk to some of the staff, and make them a couple of cocktails to test my abilities. And that was totally fine. It was even fun, but a full shift where you're helping out seems like a huge violation of wage laws, since this is performing work for which you should be compensated, and training is explicitly defined as work in the law. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 199. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please do hit the like button and share the video around with friends and family members. Okay, let's see. We have a little birthday shout out to do today. Let me just check. I had that a minute ago. Nope, that's not where I put it. There we are. Okay, today's shout out goes to Patrick. Patrick will be 46 today. Well, 46 going on 5-ish, as they say. Well, it's a weekend, Patrick, so I hope you're not working. You're fortunate enough to have the weekend off. So make sure you're having lots of fun this weekend. And if you are working, well, make sure you treat yourself anyway. You deserve it, bud. Before I go, I'm going to sing happy birthday, if that's okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Patrick. Happy birthday to you. Alrighty, let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what is something you've always wanted to smell even though you've been told it smells awful? I have never smelled an actual skunk, right? But I'm very curious as to what it's like, so if I could, I probably would. Why don't you let me know what some of yours are, if you have any? Maybe I'm just weird. But if you do, please pop your answer in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.